Hi, this is Kate with Kate's Paper Creations, here with video number 2, a bonus video for January 12th. I have 2 videos going up today because I have my virtual workshop kits going out, and I only made 1 video at a time for each card instead of both of them in the same video. So those of you that are watching this so that you can build your kit at home, here we go. I am going to be featuring this stamp set. It's called Darling Donkeys. It's from the Celebration catalog on page 4, right here. So, and I decided that these little guys are just too cute, and I'm going to make a slimline card with them today. And let me tell you a little bit about slimline cards. You can make a standard, quote-unquote, standard slimline card is made 7 inches wide by 8.5 inches, or 7 inches tall by 8.5 inches, however you want to look at it. And it's scored at 3.5. So it makes a 3.5 by 8 inch, or 8.5 inch, excuse me, card. And there are available out there special envelopes made for that size of card that you can buy in all various colors or just plain white or whatever. But you can also use a number 10 business envelope, and you could put this size in there, or if you were making a number 10 business envelope using that, you could make this quote-unquote slimline card just a little bit larger, and it could actually be 4.25 by 9, I believe, or 4 by 9.25. That's what it is, 4 by 9.25, and it would still fit in that number 10 envelope and still mail totally with just a single stamp, based on whether or not you got too thick or not, because you have to stay under 1/4 inch to go through the mail. But today I want to also show you how you can use some of your designer series paper and make a slimline envelope, just like that this will fit in. Let me show you. Just like that. And then to seal the flap, you could use glue. I would probably use glue, or you could use double stick tape on there and close it up. The only thing is, if you use patterned paper, you have to have a white label on front where the address is going to go, and then you can still mail it like a regular letter. And I'm going to show you how to make that today as well. So you don't have to be hoarding all of your DSP like I have a tendency to do. I go, oh, it's too pretty, I don't want to use it. And then you think, oh, maybe I should. This is a good way to use some of that designer series paper up. And this particular paper is coming from, did I write it down? Let's see, I didn't write it down, but it's in the Celebration. So let me get that booklet again, and we will find it so I can tell you the name of it, because it's in the Celebration. Here it is, Flower and Field Designer Series paper. So that's what I'm using for the envelope today, and it's on page 10, and you can get that free with a $50 order from one of the regular catalogs, one or both. Okay, let's get started. So as I said, I started with a Whisper White base, and I will tell you again, it is 8.5 by 7, scored at 3.5, to make a top fold slimline card. The next layer is Misty Moonlight, and I wanted it to cover the entire front of the card. So it is 3.5 by 8.5, and I'm going to just attach it flat. Just like that. There we go. So there's my piece there. The next piece is the white piece that doesn't seem to be here where I need it to be. Well, that's very interesting. That kind of thing happens to me a lot, I think. So let's just cut one. This white piece is going to be 2.5 by 8.5. And so I will do a 2.5 like this. There we go. That was an easy fix. Okay, and I am adding Magenta Madness strips of cardstock, and I'm going to bring in my grid paper because I want to show you, I do use my grid paper when I am designing, and I'm going to show you why here in just a second. Get this out of the way. I'm going to put this down with a little bit of removable adhesive to hold it in place, and I am going to use this grid paper to give it a straight, keep it straight. Okay, this is a 1/2 inch wide by 8.5 inches long, both of these pieces. I'm doing one at a time, and then I'm going to take and put adhesive on the back, regular adhesive on the back along the edge like this. We'll get it to the very ends. And then I'm going to use the grid paper because I'm going to leave 1/4 inch of this 1/2 inch piece showing. And then this is so easy because then I can use my grid paper for that end and then come over here and use it for this end, and it is stuck down and it matches. It's so nice. And then I'll just take and rub that removable adhesive off, and we will do it again with the second piece. Line it up on the grid paper. This works really nice for getting things even. Okay, let's put this on here. And you can, I don't know if you can see it, but I'm getting just as close to that edge as I can because I'm not picking up very much. Okay, so then there's 1/4 inch on that end. Hold it down. Don't stick too soon. 1/4 inch on this end, and into place it goes. Take off that adhesive, and it's ready to adhere to the front of the card. And I am just putting it on flat with regular adhesive, so I'm just going to run regular adhesive down the edges like that. I'm going to bring my card back in, and I am going to center it from top to bottom, and of course the ends match up because it's the full width of the card. Pretty easy. Then I cut from the In Color 2020 to 2022 In Color 6x6 DSP. And these are the 3 colors I picked. This is Bumblebee, Magenta Madness, and Just Jade. And you can put them on the front of your card in any order that you want. I'm going to put them on with the Just Jade first. And you don't have to get too carried away with this. I mean, I'm just going to put a couple slips on there of adhesive. And I'm going to go from top to bottom. I'm coming in about almost 3/4 inch from the end, but you'll have to decide that. And then I'm going to put the pink one on the other end. And come in about the same amount, or trying to come in the same amount from the other end so that they kind of match up. And from top to bottom it's just centered like that. And then I'll add the yellow one to the middle. And I put a little more tape on that one than I did the others. That's okay. And then I'm just centering it between the other two. And I did this so that even if I didn't get the ends perfect, then your eye's not going to detect it, I guess is what I'm trying to say, because I'm making it equal. Okay, so there's the 3 pieces. That's the base card. Then I have already colored with blends pens these 2 little guys, and I'll tell you the colors I used, but I also want to tell you, you could color these guys with your regular markers. You could color these guys with colored pencils if you have them. You could also color them with a blender pen and the ink pads. Whatever suits your fancy, you can color with. You don't have to have blends pens in order to color these little guys. Just happens to be what I used today. And I started out, I cut these 2 out so you wouldn't have to sit and watch me color and cut out everything. But I kept one just so you could watch. See if it would help any. And I used the Ivory blends pen, and I just colored the entire little guy, and I'm not too worried about staying in the lines because I'm going to cut him out. So it doesn't really, I'm not too freaked about that. And that makes the coloring a lot faster, because you don't have to worry about it. But that's the base coat, okay, is the ivory. Now you might want your donkeys to be more traditionally gray. That's up to you. You might even want to make a pink donkey or a yellow donkey. I don't know that it matters. Just whatever suits your fancy at the time. I'm going to color his hooves with Smoky Slate Light. So there are his hooves, and that's all for that. Then I'm going to use, on this particular donkey, I used Just Jade for the stem of the flower, and the flower is Magenta Madness, just so you know. Then I used Crumb Cake Dark, and I came back with Crumb Cake Dark and put some accents on his ears, and I did his little top notch and the end of his tail with that, like that. And then I used Crumb Cake Light and added some accents around his face and on his body. There's some really cute colorings out there, and you can go check them out. Just go do a little search online. But that's all there is to it. He's all ready to go. Then we're going to cut him out. Now I have to confess that somewhere around here I've got a little tiny piece of tail. When I cut this guy out, I got a little too careful, and I cut off the end of his tail. Poor little donkey. I don't know what happened to it. I saved it, but it's around here somewhere. It's gotten lost on my desktop. I'm going to save it. I'll find it, and I'm going to put it on with a piece and just reattach it with a mini dimensional cut up so that it'll fit. So don't fret. Poor little donkey will get his tail back. It may not be the kosher thing to do, but that's what will happen. And if I find it, and I know I will, it's somewhere on my messy table, and I never find these things until I clean up after my videos are done. So I'm just cutting out this little guy. We'll try not to cut his tail off. I'd hate to have you watch me be cruel to the poor little cute donkeys. So, you know, that's the way it goes. We're going to be doing this. Those that don't have an issue with coming to the workshop, I have a few that are going to come in person, and we're going to be doing this, and they'll typically, everybody kind of whines about fussy cutting, but you know, they'll get over it. I don't mind it so much. It's just not a big deal to me one way or the other. It's funny how we always, though, have a tendency to never be happy with the dies we're given. You know, we get these beautiful die sets with our stamps, and then we go, but I wanted one for this shape. And then this set didn't come with dies at all. So that doesn't have to be the reason for that. But it's just fun how we always kind of have these wishes or druthers that, oh, if only I had a die for that shape, then I wouldn't have to cut it out. You know, well, you know, sometimes it's just the way it is. So we'll try really hard here not to cut off this poor little donkey's tail. I have a tendency to want to cut a whole lot closer to this design than I probably should. Typically a die would leave a white edge around. I have a tendency not to do that. That's totally up to you. You can certainly do that, and it would make it a little less precarious of a position to try and stamp. But there he is, ready to go. And I didn't cut off his tail. Okay, then these guys I did attach with dimensionals. And so I have some of both large and small. And I'm going to use the large ones where I can. I think one will fit here too. So I use the large ones where I can. Then I'm going to come back in with some small ones. And let's see, I think a small one will fit here without being trimmed. Let's get it right in the middle. Or I might have to trim it. We'll see. I'm going to put a small one here. Let's see. I'm just throwing the tops of those right on the floor. Then I'll come in with my vacuum later. And one there. And then I'm going to get into cutting them because I do want to support these ears and these legs of these little guys. So I'm going to cut them down, even the minis. I'm going to cut them down and put them on his ears. Sticking to me. There we go. Okay, let's turn him over and see if anything's showing. I do have just a little bit of this one showing, so we'll trim it. There we go. Okay, so I put this little guy right here, just sitting here at the end, just as cute as could be right there. Then I put another one. Let's get another small dimensional here. Cut it in half. I'll have goopy scissors I'll have to clean up later, but that's okay. And I'm going to put one of those on this ear and one of them on his other ear. Something happened here. There we go. Like that. Oh, I think I need another one. I'm being a little bit picky, but I want one behind that tail. So let me get another one. Everything's sticking to me where I don't want it to stick. It's kind of funny how that happens. Okay, let's cut that one. We'll put one on the tail. Well, this takes a little bit of time, but I just felt like they needed a little bit more support. And the standing up guy is going to go right here in the center. Just like that. Oops. Must not have the, oh, yeah, I didn't have those peeled off yet. Okay, here we go. There's the middle guy. Oh, they're so cute. And this one, I think I will put one out here on his tail. Or on his back foot, I should say. It's not his tail. And this is the guy I got to repair his tail on. So just, you know, be patient with me because I didn't find it yet. But that may have to happen after the video ends. So fair warning, you know, cut carefully. Don't cut off your donkey's tail. I'm going to put one out here on the nose. And I'm going to put one up here on this ear. Peel those off. And get the things to let go of me. And he goes right here. And I'm kind of putting him so he's standing up, jumping up. So there's my little donkeys. Aren't they cute? It's so fun. Okay, then what I did for the sentiments is I used Mini Messages bundle. The bundle comes with a stamp set with all of these, with one stamp, I should say, with all of these words on it, all different kinds of words. And I used my Stamparatus and I put it in there. Now this is just for a sample for you. And I ink it and then close it. And then here's a tip that I learned from watching some other videos. I went and bought a very inexpensive dry erase eraser for dry erase boards. And when I have this inked, then you just take this and just kind of press and push like this, and you will get a wonderfully stamped image every time. This was an investment worth the money, $5. It was great. So I just wanted to show you that. Another trick with doing it with the Stamparatus is that you can stamp it with whatever color you want, and then you can lift it up and re-ink with Versamark, stamp it again, and then clear emboss, and the color of your ink will come through and you'll have a kind of a glossy embossed look to your lettering, to your words, and it's so much fun. So just a little tip that you can give a try. It works really well. I did some earlier. Now I did several sheets of this because I'm using it for a class, and so I did several of these with the Just Jade ink. And what I'm going to do for the workshop is I'm going to just throw these in a dish, and when they get ready to put one on whatever they want on their card when they're making it, is they can just dig through and find one that they want and use it for the workshop. I used the Hee Haw from the stamp set for this card, and I just stamped it and cut it out. And this is You're the Best from the stamp set, and again, I just stamped it and cut it out. For this card, let's pick one or two of these. Let's see. You could put, what's this one say? Hope your day is full of love, laughter, and joy. Let's see, will that fit on here? It's kind of a tight fit because somebody's ear or foot is in the way of most of it. So that seems a little bit long. We could say something like this. We could go like this and go, hooray, it's your birthday. We could do this, sending happy thoughts. And we could pop that up right there. Let's see, what else have we got in here? There's so many to choose from. That one's going to be kind of long again. What's this one say? So happy to hear of your exciting news. Congratulations. We could do that. There's a happy anniversary. A couple of those. Let's see. Here, let's just do this. Sending a smile your way. And I'm not sure where I want to put it yet, but let's get some mini dimensionals on the back of that. It's skinny, so that's what you have to use. And we'll get it lined up like we need it. There we go. And one on this end, like that. And let's put this, get that so it doesn't show. Let's just put this right here, like this. Sending a smile your way. And then you can put some more on the inside or whatever you choose. But that finishes the card for me today. And or you could do what I did. Stamp them and cut them out. But there's today's card. Now let's do the envelope. I cut a piece of the Designer Series paper. I used the paper that came in the Celebration catalog. It is called Flower and Field Designer Series paper. I pointed that out to you at the beginning. And this is the one I'm using just because it kind of matches the polka dots from the other DSP. And I'm going to cut this to 8.5 by 11. I'm going to get my measurements up here. So I'm going to pull out my extension here, and I'm going to go 8.5 by 11. Or you could just take 1 inch off because this is 12 by 12 paper. But there we go, 8.5 by 11. Okay, then I keep my I keep the one that just embosses or scores the end, and so that's to start with. I'm going to start with my paper in this direction. I'm going to score at 2.5. And don't press too hard on this DSP with your scoring tool. You don't need to, and you might tear it if you do. So 2.5, and then I'm going to do it at 6.5. Then I'm going to turn it into landscape position, and I'm going to score at 1.5. And 10.5. Now, I didn't think of this all on my own. I saw it done somewhere else. But I always keep the instructions for these kinds of things because it's so handy to be able to make envelopes or boxes or whatever. Okay. Now, the next thing you're going to do is you're going to see those score marks, and you're going to cut the corners out. And so I'm going to cut out just like this. And then this one. Like that. This is going to be the bottom flap that we're going to glue up, and you just want to take a little tiny bit off of the corners so that it looks like that. Okay? Then we're going to go to the other end, and we're going to cut on those score marks. We're going to cut those corners out. just like that. And this is going to be your top flap. And then I brought in the triple punch that has the corner rounder on it, and I'm going to corner round this flap. This is the flap that closes after the card goes in. So I'm going to round those corners, just like that. Okay, now we're going to fold and score. Now, looking at the inside of this, that's something you're going to want to pay attention to. This particular pattern has an obvious up and down, right? Top side, bottom side. And so if you were cutting for this side to show and your envelope, you would want to know which way you wanted your design to go before you started cutting. Just so you know. That's something to watch out for, is always to watch out for the orientation of your paper. I'm going to fold that up. And we're going to fold this one down. And now we're ready to start closing it up. You can see that one side is wider than the other, and so this one's going to overlap that one, okay? And so that's where the glue is going to go. Now, I always, when I'm doing projects like this, I always use glue, especially if I'm going to mail it, because I have found that I don't have very good luck with tear and tape or whatever holding when something's under stress. And the last thing I want to have happen is for my envelope to fall apart in the mail, in the postage. And so I'm going to use glue. I use Aleene's Quick Dry Tacky Glue, but any glue of your choice would probably be fine. I'm going to use my finger, and I'm going to spread it smooth and take it all the way out to the edge, because that's what's important here. I'm going to get me a wet wipe so I can clean my finger off. And then we are going to lay it down and press that into place. And we're just going to keep rubbing it and give it a couple seconds. I usually sing my 1 little, 2 little, 3 little Indians, and so on until that just gets dry. Then I'm going to do the flap the same way. I'm just going to put it on here. I'm going to put some of that glue right out to the edges because I want it to hold well and close good. Clean off my finger. Fold that up and press that into place. Turn it over and then I can press it down even more. And there's the envelope, and then I didn't get my labels out, but as I showed you, this is a 2 by 4 1/4 inch label. It's more than enough room to write your address. I just took it and put it on here, kind of centered it from top to bottom and side to side, and then that gives me the room for my address. And then of course your return address label can go up here, and it's a perfectly mailable envelope. And then of course the card fits just like that. Now I'm going to show you something. I ran into this before. When I cut these, I got these just a little bit too tall, and so this end has some resistance. It doesn't want to close like it should. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to peel that back, and I am going to trim this just a tiny bit more. It's really easy to get that off just a little bit. So I am going to run this across there, and I can see where it's just a little bit tall. Just a couple spots along there. Whoop. Come on, cooperate. And I'm not too worried about being perfect because it's not going to show when it's done. But let's do that. Okay, let's see if it folds. Oh yeah, I got the high spot. Okay, so then this can just go in here. And then I would put glue on this if I were mailing it. If I'm just hand delivering it, I might use the tear and tape. And there is your envelope, just like that. And there's today's card. And when I find that donkey's tail, I am going to put it back on there. So I hope you had a good time visiting today. You got the bonus video, so you got 2 videos today. And you could add some bling. These in color enamel dots are perfect for this. There's a lot of the, there's Marvelous Magenta, Just Jade, Misty Moonlight, and Cinnamon Cider in each package. And oh, and you could add some bling around each of these little guys if you wanted to. Okay, thanks again for stopping by. Don't forget that if you would like to place an online order, I would love to have you visit my online store. I always put the link in the description box below. Thanks again and have a great day.